Oh. Hey, everybody. We are live with the Combatcast. It's the man they call Dave. It's Chevarooney. We're going to play a quick video to share stuff, and then we're going to come back and talk some fights. Are you a fan of pro wrestling, comedy, and combat sports? Then we have the podcast for you because we cover that and much, much more.
Do you like to debate with your friends? Do we have the perfect segment for you? It's the 531, where we take any given subject, break it down to a top 5. From there, we debate it down to 3, and then into that number 1 spot.
If you want to get a hold of us, find us on our social medias. Search Working Fans Podcast on any major social media platform. And if you want to find the podcast, search for us on any major podcast platform, as well as YouTube.
Working Fans Podcast. We put in the work so you don't have to.
Everybody, we're back. We're going to talk some UFC 279, a little bit of UFC in Paris. Chevy, what do we got coming up in the next few weeks?
All right, September 17th, we are previewing UFC Fight Night, Corey Sandhagen versus Song Yadong. And then September 24th, there are no UFC fights, so we'll be previewing Bellator 285, Henderson versus Quealy. We might figure out something else. And then October 1st, we'll be previewing UFC Fight Night, Mackenzie Dern versus Yan, and I don't know how to pronounce her last name because it's Chinese, but I'm going to say Zenoin. And I'll have to find a clip of Anik pronouncing it properly for next week.
Oh man, we all need that here. That's not enough for me. But all right, before we get into this past week's card, which I did not see, but you saw, so I'll talk about that a little bit. But we keep bringing it up a little bit, but I guess it's official now. Anderson Silva and Jake Paul. Did they officially announce the weight class? Is it going to be 185?
I didn't see if that was announced officially. I know that's what the talks were, which benefits Anderson for sure.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, I think because Paul's kind of a big guy.
Right. I assume he walks around, a little bit north of 200 pounds.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So he would have to actually cut down, whereas, he's been fighting these smaller guys, around his weight. So this is a big ask from Jake Paul. He's fighting, the Spider, one of the arguably the greatest MMA striker of all time, and Anderson Silva, and he's looked fantastic in his boxing as well. So, I mean, he beat 50-3 former champion Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.
And everybody else that's come across him, Anderson's just been wiping out like Tito Ortiz. So he's doing what he should do in those situations, basically.
Right.
So,
he embarrassed Tito. Like, that wasn't even a boxing match.
No, been very impressed with Anderson on his feet, and this might be the first time I'm going to watch a Jake Paul fight. I've avoided these guys, but I am interested just because I feel like Jake Paul has shown he can box against people that are granted mostly MMA fighters, high-level athletes, but not, boxers. This will be the first boxer because Anderson is a guy who has boxing skills, as we discussed now, really good boxing skills, older. But I just feel like the matchup is interesting. So I'm like, okay. And you're both big names in your own way. Anderson, a big name in MMA. Jake Paul, big name social media-wise, obviously. So, yeah, fuck it. I'm down for this spectacle. There's enough interest, where I'm like, okay, this seems like it could be a competitive fight. Or at the very least, Anderson could fucking kill him, too. I could see Anderson just totally knocking him out. Or, Jake, if he is putting that work in and catches Anderson and he is a big fighter and he balloons up, you never know. So I'm like, all right, there's enough intrigue and the fight's in doubt for me.
What level of respect are you giving Jake Paul? Let's say hypothetically, if he beats Anderson. Not even a knockout. Let's say he beats him in a decision, which I think would be arguably even harder for Jake because we know Anderson has the cardio. This is an 8-round fight, so it's not, a full 12 rounds or anything, but 8 rounds is a long time in a boxing ring. So, let's just say he wins by decision. He doesn't even knock out Anderson. What level of respect are you going to give him?
Let's put a little caveat on that. Let's say he wins a decision that we all mostly think.
Right. Yep. It's boxing. That is a good caveat.
He can literally get the shit beat out of him all those rounds and somehow win. So, yeah, that's interesting. So I've thought about that. I'm going to have to respect him as basically, I already respect him as an athlete. I'm just going to have to respect it. It's tough to say where you're going to rank him like this too, because Anderson,
would you say is most certainly a fighter at that point? Like, you think the fight community would call him a fighter if he beats an Anderson Silva in boxing?
I don't know. They're judgmental pricks. I can't see that.
It's true. It's a hard group to win over. It's hard to win over
when you're actually a quality and you're actually in real fight. So this guy's got even a tougher road. I don't know. He's always going to be hard to rank until he actually starts beating like top 10 boxers in the world.
I don't know if that's ever
happening because he's so late in the game. But I will say that I will even more respect the athletic ability and the work ethic of Jake Paul, because clearly he's got the talent and he's got the work ethic to be making this kind of strides. How far it goes, we'll see. I'll tell you this. If he beats Anderson and knocks him out, there's a good chance he could get the Conor fight at some point too. If the UFC lets Conor do it, and they might not have a choice.
I think the Nate fight is coming before that.
I could see Nate doing it, and I could see Conor doing it. And it's just going to piss off Dana because he's going to have a bunch of questions from MMA journalists asking him about Jake Paul that he doesn't want to do. And this guy is going to basically embarrass a lot of the MMA community. And I think that's what pisses people off, because it shouldn't really embarrass the MMA community because he's not beating them in an MMA fight. But we know that mom, pa, middle America next door who doesn't watch MMA, like, he got his ass kicked, so it must be Jake Paul's the man, right? It's like, no, it's not how this works. But at the same time, it's hard to discredit that these guys, even though they're not boxers, they're still great fighters who have quality striking. And Paul is putting enough in his, on his resume and his work to be able to beat some of these guys.
I mean, not just beat them, he's knocked them out, flatlined them as well. Yeah. So, I mean, that's very impressive.
It is.
I would say, what's up, Joe? I would say, I think that if Jake even survives the fight and makes it to decision with Anderson, I'm ready to call him a fighter. That'll win my respect because Anderson's so good. He's going to put Jake in the matrix. He's going to see things he's never seen before. Anderson's going to play mind games with him. This is such a huge step up in competition. And I really respect Jake for, taking this fight because he doesn't have to do this. He can pick and choose his fights, and his team knows the easiest path to make the most money or whatever. Anderson is not anywhere on that easy path, so I would respect him for sure, even if he makes it, if he puts in a good showing against Anderson. If he knocks out Anderson Silva or beats him in a decision, I think I'm on the Jake Paul bandwagon at that point, and I know our friend Kearney USADA will probably murder me in my sleep or something for saying that, but I just think at this point we have to show him a certain level of respect, just for taking the fight, and I'll be very impressed if he survives.
Here's the thing: if he beats Anderson Silva, I don't really want to see him with any other MMA fighters boxing then, because you beat one of the top MMA boxers in your weight class. I mean, the only other guys you're going to be able to box are like what, Francis Ngannou if he gets out of there as a free agent, which that's a bad idea probably.
Yeah, no.
I don't know how good your boxing skills are, but you're going to have to be able to not get hit at all in that situation. Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
I think, I mean, I would watch the Conor and the Nate fights because both guys have great striking. I mean, Nate is a great boxer in his own right. Arguably, he would do better in boxing than he has done in MMA, I think. But, I would watch those two. But I think you're right. Anderson is really the tipping point for him to pursue it as an actual career, boxing. Boxing to try to make it to a title in some capacity.
Yeah, maybe Tommy Fury could be after this. We try to get
maybe.
And I don't know. I don't know how good Tommy Fury is in the big scheme of things, but we'll see. I mean, but yeah, where do we go? Tommy Fury, Nate Diaz, Conor McGregor. I mean, I don't know. Like at some point you're going to also have to face, I respect you, but at some point you're going to have to actually face, if this is going to continue, a top 15, top 10, top 20 boxer.
Right.
How does that work out?
Right. Well, he has only been boxing for 4 years, or something like that. So I think, he's definitely been on a fast track for sure. I don't want to be the Jake Paul champion on this show, but to play devil's advocate, he has been coming along at a very brisk pace in the terms of boxing, because in boxing you get brought along, they feed you cans with different styles, so that you get to see all these different styles, and they're all absolutely 100% winnable fights. And, Jake Paul hasn't been, not every fight, I would say that Nate Robinson fight, that's 100% winnable fight. But, Ben Askren, I know he didn't look like it, but he is a world-class athlete. Tyron Woodley, brutally powerful puncher, also didn't look like it in his fight, but
the improvement.
And he's looked better.
Fight. Woodley caught him in that first fight.
Yeah.
And then the second fight, Woodley got flatlined. So, there is a continuous improvement. And it shows this guy's work ethic, which, I mean, we talked about with Logan Paul on the wrestling front. We saw Logan Paul wasn't maybe doing as well in the boxing as Jake, but, he talks about fighting Floyd Mayweather. I don't know what that was, but whatever, But, still, there's a certain amount of work ethic. I'm getting to the point where I question some of these Floyd fights, but it's whatever. But you look at the work he's putting out as a pro wrestler. You got to see it firsthand. He's showing some athletic ability. He's clearly working. I watched an interview with him afterwards where he talked about that jump he made on the table, and he said, "I honestly thought my life is going too good. I'm going to break both my femurs, and this is not going to work. Fuck it." And so, it's in that moment, I'm like, okay, this guy is, but he's willing to put his balls on the line. He's willing to work hard. And Jake obviously has that too, and he's putting it towards boxing. And it's so yeah, I mean, I'm not really the hater on these guys that I once was. They've kind of grown on me. I respect what they do. I respect their work ethic. It's not all for me, but at the same time, I have to say, I watched Triple H too on Logan's show, and just listening to the way they talk, some of it again is a little too, I don't know. There's just something that rubs me the wrong way sometimes about it. But then there's stuff where it's these guys are all going out there and busting their ass to be successful too, though. And they're just hanging out with their friends. And there's really nothing wrong with that.
Right.
So that's what we're hoping to do someday.
Right. They make it a bit more of a spectacle, and less of a real sport than, a lot of us hardcore fans would like to see. But like you said, they're not, just showing up and, going out there. They're putting in the work, and that's commendable for sure.
Right. Now, are they picking fights that are winnable? Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
But they're also at his level. They should be losable too. And he's not losing them.
Right. So, it's an intriguing matchup, basically, is what we're trying to say, Respect for Jake Paul for taking it. Yeah.
But it's got a socket. I don't even want to go too far into this Paris card. I'd like to get your opinions on the main event and co-main event, but I'll ask you beforehand. Maybe the opener too, Nathaniel Wood, Charleston, but like any other fights you want to talk about specifically on this card?
The Gomes and Aaron's fight that was early on in the main card that we didn't know either fighter. That was actually a very good fight. It was very back and forth. And I just wanted to give them a little bit of a shot. I think both guys proved they are UFC caliber, and they put on a great fight. And I'll definitely be keeping an eye out for them in future, fight night main events and all that. I think they have a fairly bright future. So I'm looking forward to those ones.
I will ask you about another guy, actually, because I heard he had a really quick knockout. He got a bonus. Abbas Magomedov.
Abbas Magomedov. I don't know if I watched that fight. Was that early on?
It was actually the main event of the preliminary card. He TKO'd Dustin. It was a front kick and some punches.
I don't think I caught that one. Okay. I was in and out too, but the main card I was all there for. But
okay,
yeah, I missed a front kick knockout. Oh darn!
Yeah, you did. Yeah. So that was interesting. That's what I was wondering. What about Nathaniel Wood? How did I think you were telling me he was impressive?
Yeah. So we had both picked Jourdain to win this because he had looked so great lately, and Nathaniel Wood was coming up. He had one fight at featherweight, but had fought at bantamweight before that. And, he really just put on a clinic. He was way too fast for Jourdain. His boxing looked really crisp. Now, I don't want to take too much away from Nathaniel Wood, but I personally thought that Jourdain looked like he was having a very off night. He landed some stuff, it was a little bit back and forth, but he couldn't get anything going like he normally would. But much respect to Nathaniel Wood. I think featherweight's the right option for him. He looked great.
Yeah. It'll be, featherweight's an interesting division too. So we'll see what'll be next with him. All right, let's you did want to talk about this Buckley fight too, right?
Yeah, Nasruddin Imaev versus Joaquin Buckley. There was some heat between them going into it, as there are with most of Buckley's fights, because he's loud before fights. So he talked a bunch of shit to Nasruddin. Nasruddin basically outclassed him for the first 2 rounds, and then he got tired. So he needs to work on his cardio for sure. He definitely should have finished Buckley on the ground, in my opinion. What do I know? I don't know anything. I'm not a fighter, but he had his back for long periods of time. He just couldn't lock the choke in. He got his arm under the chin multiple times and couldn't lock in the choke. So I assume he's probably going to be trying to work on that. But first big test for Joaquin Buckley, and I don't think his stock goes down too much. He was just a little bit outside the range of his shots, and he couldn't get inside. So he looked good, but Nasruddin is the real deal.
Absolutely. Robert Whitaker, Marvin Vettori.
Yeah, so I thought this fight was going to be much closer than it was, but Bobby Knuckles, our friend Robert Whitaker, for sure solidified his spot as the number 2 guy in the division, right behind Stylebender. Is a masterful performance, really, on his part. His ability to manage distance and be just outside of Marvin's punching range, so he's in perfect position to counter. It was very hard for Marvin to deal with. So Whitaker looked great. Super nice guy. Marvin's still getting better, but I don't think his stock's going to go down too much with this loss, because he had a pretty good showing. He just couldn't get his hands on Whitaker. I think he needs to change up his style a little bit, maybe incorporate a little bit. A lot more feints may have helped him get inside and get Robert reaching for him. Or, he needs to work on some lighter Dominic Cruz footwork, because Marvin just was kind of stomping forward into, shots. unfortunately for him. So he looked all right, but Bobby Knuckles is the man for sure.
Yeah, and I don't know what's going to be next for Whitaker because he's basically beating everybody that's not stylebender at this point.
He talked about maybe going up to light heavyweight. So we know he used to fight at welterweight and he looked good there, but he's looked a world beater, obviously, at middleweight. I wonder if he would be a little bit more wrestling heavy or if his speed would carry him through at light heavyweight. I mean, I'd be interested to watch him up there for sure.
And in the main event, Cyril Gane tied to Tuivasa. Tuivasa almost caught him. He did catch him.
Got me out of my chair for sure. I wanted so badly for Ty to win, but Gane did not make the fight as boring as I thought that he would, for sure. I mean, a lot of that is up to Ty, continuing to march forward, but and Gane he was landing the one shot and then circling away that I said he was doing, but he was doing damage with that one shot. It was that teep kick to Ty's belly, and he hurt him with that a few times. He landed that nasty head kick on Ty right to his chin, the same shot that Edwards knocked out Usman with a few weeks ago. But, Ty pretended to wobble. I don't know if he pretended or if he was actually wobbled, but he was trying to draw Gane in, and he tried to land a huge overhand right. He didn't land, but, Ty did his best. He put on a pretty good performance. Guy's super tough. He's always game for sure. But I think Gane is just a real problem for the division, for sure, matchup-wise with his athletic ability. But with that being said, Francis did put out a blueprint to beat Gane, and that's wrestling. And Francis is not some world-class wrestler by any means, so like a Curtis Blades or John Jones is going to eat up Gane, I think, personally.
So Curtis Blades, you think Curtis Blades, you favor him in that matchup then?
Absolutely. I think Curtis's stand-up has looked better. There's no way that, Gane is going to be able, he might fight off one takedown or two takedowns, but eventually he's going to get taken down. And if he looks the way he did in that Ngannou fight, there's no way he's getting up. Blades will finish him on the ground for sure.
Interesting. I do wonder.
I think matchup-wise, it's just a very bad matchup for him.
If Ngannou resigns with the UFC, at some point, do we get a Blades Ngannou rematch at some point?
Right. I know that he's beaten him twice. The first one was a doctor stoppage where Francis was getting tired, but Blades, the doctor stopped it because he had a bad cut. And then the second one, he just got clipped in like the first 30 seconds. He flew all the way to China to get knocked out in the first 30 seconds. So that could happen to anyone, especially when you're fighting Francis. So I still really think that Blades can be champion and can beat Francis in a fight. So we'll see. I'd be down to watch a third one for sure.
Yeah, me too. I think interesting. I'd like to see Whitaker and Stylebender maybe fight again someday, but I'm also excited about Whitaker possibly at light heavyweight too.
Mm-hmm.
All right, UFC 279. Before we get to the main card, any fights on your radar?
Yeah, in the prelims, keep an eye out for Jake Collier versus Chris Barnett. Chris Barnett is he's the guy that wheel kicked Gian Vellante, but he's about 5'5" or some shit like that. So super impressive. Chris Collier, Jake Collier, he always wins one and then loses one. That for like the last 20 fights he's had. And he's due to win one, though, so I would bet money on him for sure. Mm-hmm. And then also Hakeem Dawodu versus Julian Erosa. Both guys have exciting techniques. Both are finishers. I would go for Julian in that for sure. He just has more ways to get it done, I think. But those are a couple of fights on the prelims to keep an eye out for.
Absolutely. And then the first fight on our main card, Ian Cutelaba versus Johnny Walker. Cutelaba is 12 KOs. He's got 2 subs, 2 decisions. I got to get his actual record. It's where is this guy? Bush League here, folks. 16-7-1. All right, and he's taking on Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker, 18-7, 15 KOs, 2 subs, 1 decision. Johnny Walker was just the guy who came in on fire. He was getting all kinds of bonuses, and now people kind of figured him out. He's had some injuries. Cutelaba is a guy to me too that like he's kind of become just this like just want to stand and beg. So for that reason, I could see Walker pulling this off because this is what they like to do. But I feel like Cutelaba has a little bit better skill. I'm going to favor him, but this could go either way. I'll go Cutelaba, and I'm going to say this is going to go round 1 because I think it's going to just be fireworks.
Yeah, neither guy has looked very good as of late. And both guys need a win badly, but I think Walker needs it even more for sure. So I agree with you. I think Cutelaba is willing to get in a firefight. I think that favors Johnny Walker with his size and speed and power. So I'm going to go with Johnny Walker via round 1. He's going to get back on track here.
All right. Let's see how it goes. Irene Aldana versus Macy Chiasson? I always mess this one up.
Yeah, Chiasson.
Chiasson. Macy's 8-2. She got 2 KOs, 2 subs, 4 decisions. Aldana 13-6, 7 KOs, 3 subs, 3 decisions. I don't think this is going to be a finish fight where we have a finish probably. Man, I don't know. I'm leaning towards Macy in this one, but it's just more my gut talking. What do you think?
I like both girls, and I think Macy's super well-rounded, but I think Aldana has been looking really good as of late. So I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to say that she flatlines Macy in round 1. Real early.
Interesting. Well, this next fight, talking about flatline, will be very interesting because we got Kevin Holland versus Daniel Rodriguez. Daniel Rodriguez has won his last 3 fights in a row. He's 16-2. He's got 8 KOs, 4 subs, 4 decisions. So he's a guy that can get it done. And then we got Kevin Holland, 23-7-1, 13 KOs, 6 subs, 4 decisions. He's looked great in his last couple fights, like just a complete different fighter. Guy that likes to keep busy. Man, this is another super competitive fight. I was really happy when I saw this fight was on this card. I like Kevin Holland. He's a sensitive favorite for me always anyway. I'll say he gets it done with a sub too. I'm going to go round 3.
I don't think we're going to see too many takedown attempts in this fight based on the fact that D-Rod has no interest in going to the ground. And I think if nobody tries to take Holland down, he's not going to go for a lot of takedowns, especially if somebody's going to try to pressure him. That kind of plays into his game, creative counter striking. So, D-Rod has the super crisp boxing. I'm having a really hard time picking this one, but I think I'm going to go with Rodriguez in a decision win. I think it'll be very close. I would not be surprised if either guy clipped each other, or if, it does go to the ground. I would favor Holland to choke him out for sure. But I'm going to go with D-Rod by decision.
Would this be your favorite fight of the weekend?
No, I think the next fight actually will be my favorite fight.
All right, Randy, we're getting there, buddy. Tony Ferguson, 15-7, 12 KOs, 8 subs, 5 decisions. Tony's a legend, Ultimate Fighter winner, 6 times Fight of the Night, tremendous winning streak in the past. But man, he's hit some hard times. He's lost about 3-4 in a row. He's lost now. That last one was a head kick. He got kicked in the face, knocked out brutally. Then we got Li Jingliang, 19-7, 10 KOs, 4 subs, 5 decisions. He looked really good in his last fight. Does the Leech get it done, or does Tony get back in the winner's circle at welterweight?
So I know Ferguson has looked slower and older in his last few fights, and Jingliang is a monster, but I think the move up is going to be good for Tony. Those knockouts can be attributed to weight cutting, possibly. And the older you get, the harder it is to cut that weight for sure. And as far as matchup, I think if it goes to the ground, Tony is far superior on the ground. He ties Jingliang up in knots, or he cuts him up with elbows. He has multiple ways to win on the ground. But I think even on the feet, Tony's, without having to cut that weight, if he can keep the speed, we know how creative he is. If he can keep that speed and get a little bit more power, he could knock out Jingliang as well. So I think the Leech might be in for a long night. I'm not ready to give up on El Kukui yet. I don't think he's done. So I'm going to go with either a submission or a TKO in round 3. I wish this was a 5-round fight. I wish every Tony Ferguson fight was a 5-round fight because I think that favors him. But I'm going to say round 3, Tony.
All right, I'm gonna agree with that. I'm gonna go Tony round 3, but I'm gonna say definitely submission. Okay, he gets it done. All right, final fight. Randy Osgood asking in the comments, does Nate Diaz win? We'll get there. 20-13, 5 KOs, 11 subs, 4 decisions. Ultimate Fighter 5 winner. Fight of the night 8 times. Nate Diaz is a legend. When you think about some of these statistics, like he's definitely a Hall of Fame career. Khamzat Chimaev, 11-0, 6 KOs, 4 subs, 1 decision. Chimaev is bigger. He's stronger. He's got a style that's tough for Nate to deal with. No, Randy. Nate does not get it done, in my opinion. Their odds are right. Khamzat's going to ragdoll him, and I think he's going to finish him in round 1.
So my brain tells me that that's what is true. To agree with you, and that's probably, if I was going to bet money, what I would bet money on. But, as any of our listeners know, I'm not the biggest Nate Diaz fan for sure. I think he's overrated, but he's a great fighter. He has a great attitude, but I would love for him to survive the onslaught that is Chimaev in the first 2, maybe 3 rounds. We saw that Khamzat could have some cardio issues in that Gilbert Burns fight. And we know Nate's not going to have any cardio issues, and he only gets better as the fight goes on. And he's durable. We're going to see how durable in this fight for sure. But I would just love that if, he tires Khamzat out, TKOs him in round 4 or 5, gets to the post-fight interview, says, fuck the UFC, walks out of the octagon, goes and fights Jake Paul and beats the shit out of him. That's what my dream scenario for Nate Diaz is. With that being said, I'm going Khamzat round 1 KO.
Well, here's the thing. If it's going to happen, I think Khamzat's going to beat him first round. But if Nate has a shot, it's going to be round 5.
Yeah.
It's going to be like a TKO or something too. Or, yeah.
It's going to be a comeback from some ass whooping, Yeah. Yeah. Khamzat's going to get tired from beating Nate's ass.
Yeah. It's a possibility.
It's very possible. He's super durable.
Got that condition in place. All right. Yes, Randy, we were talking about that at the beginning of the show. Jake Paul was fighting Anderson Silva. We talked about the first 15 minutes of that. So check out the first 15 minutes because we definitely donated some time to that today. We were very interested in that. And we both think that's the best fight Jake Paul's been in. Looking forward to UFC 279 this weekend. I think this is going to be a fun card. I like the Holland Rodriguez fight. I like Ferguson and the Leech. And hey, there's definitely at least going to be a spectacle, I think, one way or the other, Chimaev and Diaz.
Yeah, I was talking shit about this card when we were bringing it up in the upcoming schedule for a long time, but it really filled out, and this is an excellent card. Very fun fights on here. Great matchups for sure.
Yeah, surprised me. I'm happy.
Yeah.
All right, hit us one more time. What we got?
All right, September 17th, UFC Fight Night, Corey Sandhagen versus Song Yadong. Then September 24th, we're going to be previewing Bellator 285 Henderson versus Queally. And, we might come up with something else for you guys. And then October 1st, UFC Fight Night, Dern versus Jan. I just call her Jan.
Jan it is. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in to Combatcast. We appreciate the love and support. We're growing, getting those subs up. So
Appreciate it for sure.
Yeah, help us out. Sub to us if you haven't already. Recommend us to a friend. We could always use the help. Appreciate you guys.